Hello, friends. Welcome back to Suns Today, your home for the Summer Suns content. If you're watching us again for the first time on YouTube, do me a favor. Make sure you hit subscribe so you never miss anything. But if you're watching for the second time, even the 100th time, feel free to hit subscribe. Tell a friend or two. We have a goal around here. We want to get 2,000 subscribers before football season kicks off. We are just a tad shy of that. So do us a solid, tell a friend, and hit the subscribe button. And we'd much appreciate that. My name is Adam Mead. And as always, I'm joined by the one and the only Mr. Trace Trelko. Trace, how are you, my friend?
I'm good. Always enjoy conversation with you on the show or off the show, but right now on Suns Today.
That's a good place to have conversation, Trace, because it's a great show tonight. We have What's in the Box. We have a bunch of mailbag questions. You'll learn what grinds our gears. But as always, we start with one big thing. And that's our big story of the week, brought to you by our good friends at the law firm of Werner Hoffman, Greg and Garcia. They have over 120 combined years of legal experience. They have unmatched customer service, and they are the best in the business, Trace. And that is our big story then. I don't know what else could be in college athletics. The House Settlement finally signed off on by a federal judge in California, triggering both the $2.8 billion back payment to athletes and the new model for rev share, the new model for NAL, clearinghouse, yada, yada, yada. I will tell all of you right now, if you try to research everything you can on this new House Settlement, best of luck to you. You will fall in a rabbit hole that you cannot come out of. But Trace, I know you have been researching. You've emerged from the rabbit hole. So the House Settlement is now official. It's officially official, although it doesn't really start for another couple of days. Who knows? But now that's official. What do we do next? Is this good news for UCF? Bad news for UCF? Good news for college athletics? Give me the Trace Trelko review of the House Settlement.
Hey, key word there was finally. Only been talking about it for a while. Hey, the playing field is now even. There will be no unintended consequences. Championship for UCF. Of course, I kid. As I said on a recent show, it's just going to be different. There's still going to be the haves and the have-nots. UCF still going to have to generate funds in order to be competitive. That salary cap, the first year, at least at $20.5 million. But what happens when it gets raised after that? Even at this juncture, UCF Athletic Director Terry Mohajir saying during Big 12 spring meetings, UCF anticipates getting to that $20.5 million, but not quite there yet. And that number will continue to climb. Is going to be an interesting time for athletics. It was just a couple of years ago, Gus Malzahn was wearing player T-shirts at the podium. I guess we'll see the return of NIL. We're going to learn what clearinghouses mean. Going to see what the impact of UCF taking the kingdom in-house, repositioning it. It is an interesting time for athletics as the fiscal year for UCF concludes at the end of June, and it's a whole new world with revenue sharing and paying for players in this fashion.
Yeah, there's still so much unknown. I think that's my biggest takeaway is there's still so much that we yet do not know about how this will all come together. To your point, you understand what the machinations are, what they think is going to happen, but I don't know that anyone really fully understands what will transpire once all these rules take place, once all the nuances take place. One thing I don't love is as soon as the settlement was announced, all of the famous Twitter lawyers are out there saying, I can't wait for the first lawsuit, right? So we already solve, air quotes, solve a problem. And we're already thinking about how we begin suing and how we begin approaching the next problem, which is probably not healthy for the overall demographics of college athletics. But I'll leave that to the side for a second. But I think what's going to be interesting, Trace, is you know how this is going to work. You said have and have nots. I'll say it differently, right? They're the schools that are going to be prepared and the schools that are going to be kind of catching up. Where does UCF fall on that realm, right? Are they prepared for this? Do they have infrastructure? Do they have, the means to be able to not just have $20.5 million for rev share, but do they have support staff? Do they have systems in place? Are they researching this? Are they understanding where they can win in the margins? Or are they going to be kind of falling in line and figuring out what everybody else figures out when they figure that out, right? I think that's what's going to be interesting is there's going to be, nooks and crannies of this House settlement that can be exploited. Does UCF find those first? Do they find those last? Do they ever catch into those? And how does that all come together? I just think there's a ton we don't yet know about this. And my biggest fear, if I can be honest with you and the audience here, is I feel like this is going to be a one step forward, two steps back kind of thing, where it feels like on face value, okay, we're here, we're finally here, we've got this. But I think the other things that are going to come with it, just curious to figure out, did this really propel college athletics forward? Or is this simply just going to be a new way of things not being good and a new way of there not being an equal playing field across the board?
Well, the one constant in NCAA and college athletics is change. It's constantly changing. And the more things change, the more they stay the same. There's always been money slushing through the system. It's just been called different things, and now it's called this. The haves will continue to find ways to spend dollars. Do you really think everybody's playing at a $20.5 million salary cap for all of its sports? Already, CBS Sports' Brandon Marcello out reporting that Texas Tech may spend upwards of $55 million across its sports. UCF's talking about not quite there at $20.5 million. Nobody's saying $55 million out of UCF athletics. A week ago on this show, we talked about the performance of Terry Mohajir. Is he the right guy to continue to lead UCF athletics? Now more than ever, you're going to have some business acumen. You're going to have to navigate the landscape that's changed and determine the way you're going to spend dollars, facilities, coaches' salaries. You're going to put all your eggs in football's basket. What other sports do you think you can be competitive in and win in? And what athletes are you going to acquire through free agency, the portal? It's going to be an interesting time. You've got to be smart, though, with the business. And we're already used to this for those that follow professional sports, with general managers and agents and salary caps and luxury tax and all of that sort of thing we see from Major League Baseball, the NFL. That is now what college football and college athletics is.
I think another thing to think about and to watch for here is I think we can all agree that the NIL landscape has been messy. Not a lot of rules, not a lot of guardrails, not a lot of just understanding of what's happening, right? With this new settlement, essentially NIL goes right back to the player. The player now can enter into their own NIL agreements. Anything under $600, no harm, no foul, enter into the agreement, enjoy your day, enjoy your $599. Anything over that goes to an NIL clearinghouse that will now be monitored by Deloitte, that will determine fair market value, whether or not the deal makes sense, commensurate to the product, to the service, to other deals, and either it will be cleared, not cleared, or sent back for review, Trace. And I think that's what's going to make this even more muddy now is now you're going to have deals all over the place. You're going to have guys suing because they're being told it's not fair market value, but no one's defined what fair market value looks like. So I think that's something else that's really going to be interesting is I think everyone hopes and assumes that this cleans up the muddy waters that is NIL. And I think we're just getting further into those muddy waters because now you're trying to put guardrails around there that really aren't supported by anything. And that there's now a new arm, a college sports commission who hired somebody from Major League Baseball now who will be kind of running college sports. What is his role? Does he have a decision-making authority? Can you say, hey, we're gonna suspend a player? Can you leverage punishment? Again, I just think the NIL stuff, which is probably the thing that frustrates fans the most, I don't think the water got any clearer with this House settlement. I think if anything, it got more murky.
And what is fair market value in Orlando, Florida, Lubbock, Texas, Manhattan, Kansas, across the Big 12 landscape? What does a deal privately between a player and a car dealership mean in various markets across the country? You mentioned it a few moments ago. Lawyers, lawsuits, just going to be different ones, more of them. We haven't even talked about Title IX, perhaps implications there, and the impact on women's sports as universities allocate their funds to men's basketball, football. Murky waters. It is what drives college athletics. It's what keeps us talking year round. It's constant change. It's often murky and it's often unresolved, and it creates new unintended consequences. We're seeing that now. We're going to see it in the future. How does UCF fare in this? How well does UCF navigate? That's why they pay Terry Mohajir the big bucks to navigate those waters. And back to the question last week, do you trust him and his staff to make those decisions? July 1, dollars begin to be paid out, right? And isn't that the start of this? Let's see how they navigate in year 3 of the Big 12, but year 1 under this new look.
Well, here's what we know now. On Saturday, UCF under Terry Mohajir's signature put out a statement essentially saying that they support the settlement and they're sort of all in. Schools have to opt into the settlement. By the way, it sounds like if you read that statement that UCF's opting in, which I think has long been expected. Further to that, Terry Mohajir at spring meeting said that UCF was close. They had a few more revenue things, is how he phrased it, to be able to fund that full $20.5 million rev share for the upcoming season. So that's the latest update from UCF. Hopefully we'll have opportunity to get Terry Mohajir or somebody from a UCF leadership to share some more insight soon on how this works and how UCF's doing. But for now, we'll leave it at that. But there's a lot of change coming, friends. And if you thought the summer would be quiet, I think the House settlement, rev share, NAL go, all that stuff will continue to make things more and more exciting here. But to keep it locked to the Sons UCF, we will make sure we keep you updated. But Trace, if that didn't grind your gears enough, maybe there is something out there that will grind your gears. Let's shift topics to
that really grinds my gears.
This is brought to you by our good friends at Florida Football Prep. If you need gear for your youth football team, FloridaFootballPrep.com is where you go. They also will break in your football to make sure that you are ready for practice. Trace, what's grinding your gears? A lot to choose from out there. I know you've got a lot of balls in the air, but something must be nagging at you, Trace. What's grinding your gears?
You know, I acknowledge on this show and others a bit of a hypocrite. I don't mind when UCF inks guys out of the portal, but boy, I don't like it when UCF loses a good player to the portal. Florida Gators inking UCF pitcher Russell Sandifer. That grinds my gears. It seems like, again, UCF getting plucked by a power team that's got some more resources. I am not privy to whatever contractual arrangement has been made by Florida and Russell Sandifer. I'm speculating there. That's something I know you like, the wild speculation. My sense is, though, that there may have been a compelling reason for Russell Sandifer to move north to Gainesville. And that grinds my gears that UCF can hang on to a quality arm a season removed now from a difficult year on the mound for the Knights.
Let me break out my O'Leary anger index. I'm going to give this 3 O'Leary's, Trace. This is beyond not good enough for me because we just talked about how NAL is murky and how there's so many things happening. You take this same scenario you're referring to it. Again, we don't know anything factually. All we know is there was a day of, hey, I'm in the portal, and the next day, hey, always want to be a Gator, and how that happens behind.
It's great to be.
Perhaps it's all above board, and I hope and wish the best for Russell and everybody else involved. But you also can be cynical and say, what happened here? And does anything we just learned about the House settlement fix this situation, Trace? Does it make that not take place? And I think that's what's frustrating is not only is this not good enough because UCF loses a good arm, lose it to an in-state rival, but it's also, there's no stopping this from continuing to happen. And we're going to see it over and over again. We've seen it over and over again. And so for me, 3 O'Leary's on this one, Trace. I think you're justified in your anger here. This is beyond not good enough. But my gears.
You know, that really grinds my gears.
Our good old buddy Mike Bianchi, provocateur in the Sentinel, had a column out there saying, face it, UCF fans, you need the Cows. You miss them. You want them back in your life. And I'm here to tell you, Trace, that grinds my gears. You know what? I actually don't need the Cows back in my life. I haven't really thought about the Cows in any meaningful way since the last time we played them in a sport that mattered. And for me, I don't need to have that rivalry continue to live on year after year, weekend. We have our own problems around here. We have our own teams we can't beat. We have our own schools that we have issues with now in the Big 12. We have ref share numbers. I don't need to concern myself with the Cows. I don't know what this need is to continue to force a rivalry. It was a rivalry for a while. And it stopped. It went away. It ended. It ended of its own volition. UCF moved someplace else. The Cows are not where UCF is at this point from an actual conference perspective. And so it ends of its own volition. It isn't like one team, aka the Cows, just stopped playing us back in the day like they did. It ends of its own volition. Sometimes these things happen. Relationships end. They come to a stall. They come to a stop. It happens organically. And that does not mean you need to sit around and pine for that person. So I'm really grinded that we continue to have to talk about the Cows. And I understand Bianchi wants clicks, and I understand that's what you do in the Sentinel. You make a provocative comment, you get retweets and whatnot, Trace. It just grinds my gears that whenever it's slow time, we just trot back out the don't you miss the Cows. And so that has grinded my gears.
You're so cynical about the media business. Do you think Mike Bianchi's just writing that to generate a topic on Suns Today? I'm giving that 4 O'Leary's. Couldn't agree with you more. It's the worst thing ever and stuff. It is. And the Cows play each other in some other sports, lesser profile. Nobody's really talking about it. Terry Modger said to the media off camera at Big 12 spring meetings in Orlando at the Waldorf Astoria that, you know, they'll schedule when they can schedule, but in particular, the team in Tampa has its schedule pretty locked up. There is no room for UCF, and that's fine. Everybody moving on. They've got $7 million coming in TV revenue. UCF's got $40+ million coming, and they've got a $400 million stadium they got to figure out how to pay for. Good luck to them.
And one day, if it picks back up, great. Let's all enjoy it. If it picks back up, let's get to that first game, and but until then, I'm giving zero bit of my energy to figure out what the heck's happening with the Cows, because frankly, friends, I have my own problem. One of my own problems now, Trace, is this.
We sound pretty good. We've recorded that just before the show.
I practiced that a little bit. This is the Brian W. Peterson mailbag, as always, and I will open it for questions, Trace. Our first one from our good friend Mario at Lonely B UCF. His question: How do you pronounce Acrisure?
Yeah, I don't know. Sure. Sounds good.
I believe it is Acrisure because that is the name.
Acrisure?
Acrisure. That is the name of the stadium where one Pittsburgh Steelers currently play. Previously Heinz Field.
I was gonna say, don't they play in the Ketchup Stadium? Isn't that
No longer. No, unfortunately, Ketchup
Mm.
is out. Mortgage is in,
Ketchup,
and
yeah.
so
It's a mortgage company.
Acrisure
what
is
it
a
is?
mortgage company. Yeah,
Yeah, there we go.
they absolutely are. At Dolly Drama, thoughts on the new stadium name for those who are not aware what Dolly's referring to. News breaking today that UCF Board of Trustees put an agenda out for the meeting on the 12th. One of the items is the renaming of the stadium. We learned last week, Trace, while you were all with Terry Mahadra at Big 12 spring meetings, that due to a restructuring and FBC mortgage, there would be a new stadium name. According to the document that shows the agenda item, that new name is the Acrisure Bounce House. Dolly wants to know, thoughts on that name? Is it kitschy? Is it cool? Or I don't care, just win?
I don't care. Just win. No, a sports reporter in New Orleans who never refers to the name of the paid sponsor, as he has said, they don't pay me to say whatever that name is. They pay the university or the professional team. Nobody's paying us to say it. I'm not saying it. I say bounce house. That's what it's going to continue to be.
I do think I agree with you, by the way. Like, no one's pining for more corporate sponsor name stadiums, right? No one's out there saying, gee, I really wish they'd slap a corporate sponsor on Wrigley Field, right? That's just not what's happening. But
that was cool before gum.
I will say this. And as far as names go, I think everybody universally loves the name Bounce House. So adding Bounce House back into the name, even though you're gonna buttress it with a corporate sponsor, I do think is probably a cool win and something that Terry Mahadra can stick in his cap and say, "See, we brought back some unique elements here. We brought back some some consistency, and we're the Bounce House again." So I guess I'll say it's cool because it's better than Acrisure Field or Acrisure Field House or Acrisure Park or anything else. So I'm glad at least there is some UCF DNA.
When the fabric softener is the sponsor, then I'll relent on calling it Bounce House and refer to the sponsor.
From Dr. Snap and Pop, as the House Settlement not approved, is UCF athletics in a better position going forward, or is it a rich get richer situation? Subsequently, do you believe Terry is going to lead us in the right direction as the landscape in college sports continually changes?
I think UCF is in a different position. I do believe that it continues to be the haves and the have-nots. I think that gap is widening. It's not just Big Ten, SEC. It's programs like UCF, North Carolina State. I'd still rather be in the Power Four than find myself over in Tampa. I still think you can play money ball, win along the margins, and succeed in different sports, even football. Maybe not year in and year out. Maybe you have to mash your resources to pull a run every so often. And Terry Mahadra, we debated whether he was the right guy. I think we're going to find out from the university on whether they extend his deal. Perhaps Terry Mahadra goes elsewhere, has been rumored. Jury's still out for me. I talked about it last week that I think the dollars generated, even though UCF still trails where it may need to be, still more dollars than they've ever had at any point in the athletics program and its history. So I think in that regard, he deserves credit. I think he's really going to earn his keep, though, over this next year, navigating this in what will be year 3 for UCF in the Big 12.
I'll address the second part. Is Terry going to lead us in the right direction? My answer to that is no. And it's no, because Terry alone cannot lead UCF in the right direction. I think the key factor here is, will he and the rest of the staff surround themselves with individuals who have the ability to collectively understand how this works and move UCF forward? You said it off the top, Trace. College athletics is a business now more than ever. Do you have folks who have some of that acumen? Do that they have salary cap ideas? Do they understand how to maybe fit players into certain systems? Do they understand what revenue and ROI looks like? Do you have the right staff around you to make up for maybe what you don't have or what you lack from a business standpoint or experience you don't have? I don't know if Terry Mahadra has done that yet. I think the jury's still out on that, but Terry alone cannot do this. He's going to have to surround himself with individuals who have the experience to get UCF to the next level. I think that ultimately will be what portends his future here. I say this all the time in leadership. You can be the best leader in the world, but if you have the worst team, it's not going to matter, right? Leadership is a lot about the team that you bring in and how you develop them and use them. I think that'll be what separates Terry Mohonker and designates whether or not he is a success or maybe not so much. At Marty Helwig with a double play question here. First, double play with the new pay-to-play model in college sports. Can schools count the cost of actual scholarships, room, board, and tuitions towards the $20.5 million?
What is the answer to that? I did not do.
I believe the answer to that is no.
Research.
I believe that is just basically ticket to entry stuff, right? We're going to pay for your school and your room and your board, all that stuff. I think the 20.5 is relative to actual revenue UCF makes. So I do not believe you can count any of that against the cap, but I will find someone smarter than us to answer that. If you don't know that answer, Trace, the second question Marty asks, if a player quits or transfers before playing any games, does he or she have to pay back NAL or pay to play money?
Well, Terry Mohonker did talk about that. I forget now what was on the record and what was conversation in the hall following the open, presser with him at Big 12 spring meetings. You owe back the money, and UCF wants its money back. And I'm sure UCF's not the only school that says, "Hey, you changed the rules, you changed what you're going to do, pay it back."
So in the new model, what I don't know is I think NIL will be, again, that's specific to player and entity. So if player X signs an agreement with the Sons of UCF here for X amount of dollars and then leaves before that agreement, I believe from a contractual standpoint, there will be some sort of an obligation there, right? So now with the direct tie into a corporate sponsor or an entity, I do believe that is governed. I don't know about the play for play money though. I don't know about the rev share. So if I designate $500,000 for my starting kicker and he decides he wants to take off, I don't know how that works out. I'm not sure.
It depends on what those agreements. It's a good question.
I'm not sure contractually what that looks like. So we may not know that for a while there, but I'll certainly see if I can't pass that question around, Marty, and find some folks to give us the answer. This week's question of the week, I awarded this last week. This week's question of the week goes to Golden Knight _2. Now that enough time has passed since the end of the Gus era, what was the game or moment that made you want him gone? For Golden Knight, it was the second Navy loss. Trace, what was the moment where you said, Gus, not so much?
It's hard to top that one. I never saw that loss coming, right? Some of them you could make the case for, especially in the transition to the Big 12. I never thought that they would get stomped by Navy like they did. So I concur with Golden Knight on that one. That's hard to defend.
Yeah, that was my answer too initially, right? Because again, context matters. UCF loses at ECU, and that's did they have the playbook game or not, right? Whatever. Come back with a great win at home against Cincinnati. Things are lining up. Maybe UCF's going to host game day, right? They're going to be in the thick of things. And then the 11 a.m. kick for that Navy game, people forget about. And John Rice didn't have it for a while. Didn't play the second half. Mikey Keene did. We didn't block number one for Navy the entire game. I think he had 37.5 sacks in that game, which I believe would actually be a record. So Navy is the correct answer. However, if I'm going to be different, if it wasn't Navy, it was Baylor. By the time we went around the calendar year to the next year, we lose that heartbreak at home to Baylor, and that starts the continued skid in that year. I think that was the game where you said, okay, wait a minute, what is happening here? This is from Blue Sky. So at Knights, and there's a 1 instead of an I here on Blue Sky. He wants to know, how many hats do Adam, Trace, and Brian W. Peterson own? First off, what a trio of people to ask that question about, by the way. But wants to know how many hats people own, Trace. You can go first, my friend.
Well, can I ask for the photo? I sent a text message to Brian and I said, how many hats do you have? He pulled them all out. This he sent me. This photo, he pulled them all out. You know what? I forgot to rally the count there. He sent me the count. Give me a second.
I have.
Oh, you have the numbers?
140
yeah, he said
total hats is what Brian is coming in at, including 3 Suns hats, 1 UCF visor, 2 Orlando Apollo hats, 7 UCF bowl game hats, 10 Knots hats, and 5 straw bucket hats. He also sprinkled in some FAU, some Miami Dolphins, some Florida Panthers, Orlando Magic, Denver Broncos, Florida Marlins, Peterson accounting hats, and 1 Green Bay Packers hat.
Brian sent me a Peterson accounting shirt. I don't remember if I got a Peterson accounting hat.
I did not get a Peterson accounting hat.
So what I said to Brian, by the way, and I'll say to Knights with a 1 there, I don't think I look good in a hat. Do you agree or disagree? For someone that's a little bit, that keeps the hair short for swimming. I think I should wear a hat more. My dermatologist has advised that, but I don't think I look right in a hat. I started counting hats, by the way. So, you often say to me, "Hey, I'm going to send you a UCF hat," and I go, "I'm good." Or sends a UCF hat, and I go, "I'm good. I've got just the one." It's starting to be a little worn, though, by the way. So,
Yeah.
but I got the old school, the original.
You do.
And I started pulling. I got props, Adam. I got all sorts of props.
Wow.
I'm not a big bucket hat guy, but there's my Cubs one.
Okay.
And I don't know if I have a regular Cubs hat, but so this is a hat I like right here.
Okay.
Purposely worn.
That's seen some stuff.
Yeah. No. It's built like that. It's designed like that.
On the audio audience, by the way, imagine a hat that's been run over by a car.
Traditional.
White UCF with a UCF stack.
Yeah, traditional.
Head.
But I don't really wear any of those. I'm just going to toss
Gold?
these, and
Okay.
I'm going to keep reaching for hats as I've got props. This one I like. This has got a Big 12 logo on it.
I have that as well. Yeah, that's the Orlando word mark on the front there. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Nice hat.
Yeah, well, that one's not adjusted right, or I would.
That one has the buckle on the back, right? If I remember correctly.
Yeah, I was going to say I haven't worn that.
Buckle guy.
How about this one? What do you think of that one?
This is a nice old school with the Lance logo and the UCF Knights. I do like that.
Yeah, you like that one?
I'm
building up here. There's
another
old
old
one.
Wow, Brian Peterson will be jealous of this all gold old UCF Lance logo, huh?
Now we're getting to some of my favorites that I have from a collection standpoint. How about that one right there?
You're the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl champion. I like that a lot. 2018.
You
nice
like that?
Nice hat.
You like that hat? There we go. It's a Colton
Boomer with the stickers still on it, Trace, which is just fantastic.
Yeah, I like that.
Maybe give that one away. Maybe that's a Fiesta Bowl 2014 hat. I have that one as well. That's a good
purchased for an exorbitant amount of money.
Ooh,
in the afterglow of that win.
I got mine at Ross in 2016 for like $5.
Yeah, I don't want to know what you. How about this one?
This is I love the squeezer. The design is ugly, half gold, half white. One panel is white, not a stitch of citronaut blue on there, which is interesting.
Yeah, see, I don't. Well, you're a hat wearer, often on the show.
Yes.
Do I look good in a hat? I don't.
I mean, this is not a question I feel like I should be answering. I don't think it looks terrible. Like I think you could be a hat guy. You got to figure out what your mojo is with a hat, though. Are you?
I don't know.
It's really that one looks a little too small on you. No, don't wear that one. That's a little too small on you. Yeah, don't do that one. While
Trace, are you when you buy hats? Do you buy them custom sized?
I don't do fitted hats anymore. I'm not that kind of guy.
That one doesn't fit right. That doesn't.
That one looks like your head's hurting. It looks like you're gonna have a headache in an hour from that one. This one, the peach bowl. Now we're just trying on hats here on the Suns today. Not on the rundown, by the way.
Let's just go back to the
original Suns hat.
There we go. All right, I'll finish out the show with a.
That's a good fit, a good look for you. I'm a hat guy. I did a quick count. I think I have 57 hats.
I don't have more than a dozen. I don't.
Again, keep in mind, I also have every version of the Suns hat, so I have at least 8 or 9 of those that everyone.
Are there that many?
There's a whole shelf. I didn't have show and tell here. I probably another 20 UCF hats. I have an old school white one I like a lot. I do have a bucket hat. I'm bringing you with me to vacation to keep the sun on my eyes. And then my workpass offer.
Wait, is there a Suns bucket hat?
No, there's only a UCF bucket hat. Do you want a Suns bucket hat? Are we in on that?
I do find that I'm wearing this one a lot out at camp and practice because of the sun. So I'm trying to wear the hat more, but I just don't think I look right in it. But
my workplace encourages hats, so I have a lot of hats from my workplace as well. So I'm probably at the 50 mark, but I'm nowhere near Brian Peterson, who I'd love to figure out at some point in time how much all of that cost him. At UCF_Zach wants to know, now that NIL is kind of back to its original intent, will there be a Suns sponsor for under $599? Will the Suns be sponsoring a player for under $599?
See, I think this is Moneyball. I think that the Suns have to execute this properly. I think that there's potential multi-sports here. I'm for this. I don't know where you stand on this issue. We've talked about it through the years.
Yeah.
There was the opportunity to sponsor softball player Maddie Bejarano and get as part of an effort on the part of several to raise funds to bring her brother to watch them in the NCAAs.
We'll see.
Where do you stand on this? See, I think if there was an opportunity to maybe get a men's soccer player, you
Yeah.
maybe get a men's soccer player, and maybe that'd give you an opportunity to get some of that men's soccer wear that you.
I like what
opportunity.
you're doing here. No, I like so here was always my challenge, Trace. I never knew what the valuation on this was. How much should it cost to have a player wear our stuff or our peer? What is the number that's attached to that? Now I have it. So I will put this call out there to any current UCF athlete. We have $599 in the Suns budget to offer
Is that
one NIL deal. So if there's somebody out there that wants our $599 to be our NIL athlete, come on to the Suns. Anybody, $599.
Are we starting this promotional campaign?
We have one slot available. If the Alex Haynes Hall of Fame stuff doesn't work out for me, perhaps I will do this one next.
Are you seriously? Are you seriously?
Yes. If somebody wanted in,
will we get privy to the valuation? Will there be a catalog that we can like?
Well, yeah, I don't want to have to go through a clearinghouse, so that's why I'm valuing this at $599 and under. So to keep everyone out of the clearinghouse and to a little pocket change for somebody here. $599 NIL deal for the Suns UCF. It's available out there to you UCF athletes. First come, first. Well, not first come, first serve because I don't know who's going to be here. But send DM us. Let us know who's in there.
First come, first serve. Like we're going to get any.
Also fair. How many athletes are actually listening to this one? Trace, we had a couple questions regarding this week's Pegasus podcast, which is available now on the Suns YouTube, also wherever you get your downloadable content. I've heard most of it. Apparently Christian Simmons was off the rails, and so much so that JP Gilbert asks, should Christian Simmons be Baker acted for saying that Randy Shannon should have been the head coach over Gus Malzahn?
I messaged Christian asking for clarity because I had not had opportunity to listen to the Pegasus podcast. And Christian wrote, I said there's a case things would have gone better for UCF if they'd hired Randy Shannon instead of Gus. Strong recruiter, important ties across the state, could have paired him with a young OC. I think he would have done much better in the CEO head coach role that became important in college football shortly after the hire. No. No.
All right.
No.
So we're sending.
No, that's just clickbait right there. That's just being a provocateur. No.
We're sending Christian to go away. Brian Peterson has a question also about Pegasus podcast with Bailey and Christian. Would you rather UCF go 7-5 and lose the space game in 2025, or go 3-9 and keep the space game winning streak alive?
The space game winning streak means 0. 7-5 bowl game. They can lose every space game if it means a winning record. Means nothing. And the law of averages play into effect. Knowing what I know now about this roster, give me 7-5 and a loss in the space game. The space game doesn't mean anything. It's on FS1. If you're on Friday night, it means nothing. You would 3-9 to have the space game.
No, I'm in agreement with you. Give me all the wins. At some point, we're going to have to
Baker act him for that.
Okay, Christian Simmons double Baker act tonight here.
Double Baker
on the Suns Today show. At UCF Knights win, what player that went into the portal from UCF are you curious to see how they do this upcoming season?
Who?
Player.
Yeah, don't care. Where's that Colton Boomer hat? I may have tossed it at the side. Let's see how Colton Boomer does back in Boise. He got the big kick at Boise when he was a member of the UCF Knights. I'm fond of Colton and his family, so I am rooting for his success, and I hope that he has much success in Boise.
2 for me. Lee Hunter, obviously an established player at UCF.
I hope he does not have success.
Could go to Lubbock. Joy Lubbock. I want to see how that works out. And then Chasen Johnson, who was at UCF, then at USC, then at SMU, then at UCF, now back at USC. Again, a lot of talent. We didn't see him on the field a ton last year. Is he worth the reported 7 figures that he received to go be a cornerback at USC? Curious to see that. And the last one in the mailbag, Trace, from at @blackgold_Ed. Let's say UCF football and with rev share, their payroll is about $14 million. Should UCF pay 5 offensive linemen $1 million each? Is that too much, or is that not enough for you?
Too much. Okay. I get it, but that much of the budget can't go to 5 offensive linemen, especially when UCF doesn't know what it has at quarterback. So it can have all the greatest offensive linemen in the world if it doesn't have a quarterback. No. It's got to be proper valuation.
How do you think this works? So do we agree quarterback will probably be the highest paid position?
For UCF?
Maybe for you, for most schools. What do you think the second position group is. Is it line, offensive or defensive line? Is it skill position guy like a running back or receiver? What do you think the value slots are? If we all agree QB is probably one, what are the next two positions that you think schools will spend big on?
I think it's on the defensive side of the ball.
Okay.
Just a good defensive end. I'd go money on the defense at that point. But quarterback, I think, has got to be one.
Yeah, I agree. I think big people is always important. Speaking of big people, you are a big guy, Trace, because you have the What's in the Box segment brought to you by our good friends at Alumni Hall. I was there this week. Father's Day.
How much did you spend?
Not too much, actually. Father's Day coming up, so get that father figure in your life, or your dad, or your Knights fan. There's something for everybody at Alumni Hall, 4100 North Lafayette Trail, or go to online alumnihall.com and check out for UCF. Ask for Jason, by the way. He's the store manager there. Super great guy. Loves to talk to customers. Loves to talk about UCF. Learning more about UCF as well too. So ask for Jason and tell him that the sun sent you.
I told you I've written more questions than we may.
Are you still writing?
If something pops into my head, or if I hear something that I think is interesting, I don't know. Something to do. I've been on the receiving end of these for way too long. I'm not trying to embarrass you, but we'll go.
I'm ready. No, I can't. I'm ready.
If you could transform into any animal, what would it be?
Transform into any animal.
Transform into any animal.
Ooh.
What would it be?
I'm not going to lie to you, Trace. This is probably not the answer a lot of people were expecting out of me.
Okay.
We here at Eaton Manor, we have a cat. We have a house cat. That thing has the life, man. Sleeps all day. Someone gets its food for it, goes wherever it wants to go. I can call. You want to go outside? We open the door. You're hungry. Here's food. We clean the litter box for this. And the cat, no stress, no worries, no bills, as far as I can tell. No danger of being attacked by other animals inside the house. If I was like a jungle tiger, like I got to keep keep an eye out because I may be attacked. But you give me a house cat, I think I'm just chilling all day. When I watch TV, I'll watch TV. You want someone to come over and say hi to me, I'll walk over and talk to somebody. If I don't, I go sleep someplace. Give me house cat. I think house cat is the animal that I would want to be. It just seems like a real chill existence.
What's the name of this cat?
Daisy is the name of our cat.
Daisy,
yeah.
Oh.
Like
birth? Did we adopt this cat? What's the story there?
It was an adopted cat from the Humane Society. We all wanted a pet. I'm allergic to dogs. My son's allergic to dogs, so we really can't have a dog in our life. And so I grew up with cats, so I have a bit of an immunity to them, I suppose. So we decided on a family cat. Went to the Humane Society. There was little Daisy. She's just staring up at us, saying, "No, take me." And so now Daisy lives with us.
Take me. Not the biggest animal guy in the world, but I'll take an animal I'm fascinated by and that I wouldn't mind being for a little while. Puffins.
I don't know.
They swim, they fly. They're fascinating to me. I can watch them all day long.
I don't know what it is.
They swim and they fly. They're birds. They dive into the water. They swim. They take off in the air. They're fascinating to me.
Where does one find these at? Are they
SeaWorld? Well, I'm sure out in the wild too, but are you Googling?
I know. I'm actively Googling.
I find them fascinating. So for at least a little while, I'd like to fly through the air and swim.
Are they dangerous?
No, I wouldn't know.
Are they?
They're probably more likely to be prey than predators.
I was gonna say, are they prey? Like, because I think that could be a challenge. Yeah. Like, I don't want you.
I don't think they're predators. They're fascinating.
This looks like a puffin. What's happening with the mouth there? What's I don't know if it's got fish in its mouth there.
Fish.
Very nice color. So you want to fly? Okay.
I just want to dive into the water, swim, then fly back out.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right.
The things we learned during What's in the Box, sponsored by Alumni Hall, where your wallet can go lighter during any visit.
They can your wallet can fly away at Alumni Hall because of all the money you spent, Trace. Before we close up things around here tonight for Suns Today, here's a bit of a closing thought for everybody. It's pretty easy to get frustrated with the state of college athletics these days. Rooting and cheering for our teams and competition, it's been watered down by constant change in rosters and rules. Nowadays, it seems like the only news we get comes from courtrooms and hearings, not weight rooms or practices. And if you're anything like me, removing the words settlement, injunction, Deloitte, and plaintiff from our sports vocabulary can't come soon enough. But I was given a gift this past week, Trace, the gift of perspective. I had a chance to spend 2 days on UCF's campus while class was in session. And you know what I saw, Trace? Actual college kids roaming about with bad haircuts, stupid clothes, and a look of innocent confusion and bewilderment. And I thought to myself, would you look at that? Actual college students still exist regardless of the state of college sports. It brought back many memories of my time at UCF, a time that helped shape me to be the person that I am today. And in the end, that's what makes college experience so important for all of us. If you're listening to this, there are odds that you too roam the Washington Breezeway or Frail Commons in your formative years. You even lived to tell about it. But our connection to UCF was formed long before the possible ruination of college sports, and it will still be around far after. So as the kids would say, I encourage all of you to take a timeline cleanse, make a trip to campus, not just to watch a sporting event, but instead watch the event of life taking place all around. Unplug from the crazy world that NCAA has become, and instead plug into the memories that formed your bond to UCF, a bond that is likely stronger than any four-star lineman in the portal. Although, by the way, we could probably use one of those too. And that is our episode of Suns Today for this week. Again, if you're listening, watching, make sure you subscribe, rate, review. Your support means the world to us. So anything we can do to earn more support from you is something that we are vested in. So please make sure you subscribe, rate, review. Leave a comment if you want to as well. We always enjoy listening and reading back on your comments. For Trace Choco, my name is Adam Eaton, and we will catch you all soon. Everybody have a fantastic week. Go Knights, charge on. Take care of yourselves and each other.